Okay, today I'm gonna interview Jeff Johnson of the Johnson team. Yeah.
You sounded like you weren't sure about that. Do you know who I am?
No, I do.
Okay.
Okay, today I wanna interview Jeff Johnson.
You don't have to say it
of
again.
the
We're
Johnson
rolling.
team.
Do it.
Okay. What
All right.
is earnest money for?
Earnest money. All right. You planning on buying a house? Do you have enough earnest money?
No.
Okay. This is the question actually lots of people have. And a lot of buyers who haven't bought before, they hear about earnest money, but they're not really sure like what it's for. So earnest money is how you show you have skin in the game. A seller who's selling their house, they want, I'm gonna shut that music off.
Hold on.
Okay. Sellers, they want to know that the buyer's serious, right? Like if you pretend you're selling a house. If I come at you and I'm like, I want to give you an offer, but I have no money to give you right now, but I will later, I promise. What are you gonna think?
No thanks.
What if
Once
I come?
you get the money.
Right, but if I come to you and I say, hey, here's $5,000 to show you I'm serious, here's an offer, are you more likely to take it?
Yes.
Yes. So that's what earnest money is for. It's to show the seller that you are serious. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there more?
Yes, there's a couple more. How much is we already did that one.
How much is it? No, you didn't. Yeah. How much is it? That's another good question that lots of buyers have. So it's different in different areas. Here locally in Colorado Springs, it's typically 1% of the sales price rounded to the closest $500. So if your sales price is $300,000 or $325,000, you would either probably have $3,500 for your earnest money, and that's how much you have to put down. And but it's different in different areas, but that's what it typically is here. And it's not always that here, but that's kind of the standard.
Okay, who do I give it to?
Also a good question. You've got good questions.
Thanks.
So you give it to typically the title company. It doesn't have to be, but it has to be somebody who can put it in an escrow account. Sometimes the larger brokerages will hold on to it, but that's not usually recommended. Typically it's a title company. So you can give it to your agent and then they would give it to the title company. Title company holds it in an escrow account.
What happens to it?
What happens to it? Well, it can be, I hear my dog whining in the background. Can you go let him out of there while I answer the question? So this is real life, people. So what happens to it? That was the question. It goes, so again, title company's holding it. If you go through with the contract, it goes towards your down payment or your closing costs or something like that. So when you buy a house, if you get a loan, and even if you don't, but especially if you get a loan, there's lots of closing costs. That earnest money can go towards those closing costs or your down payment for your loan. However, maybe there might be another question, but I think that answers that one.
Can I lose my earnest money?
Yes, you can. And a lot of buyers don't ask this question, and you should be asking your agent that question. And if you have a good agent, they'll already be telling you that before you even ask. So yes, you can lose it. If you breach the contract, you can lose your earnest money. And there's a whole bunch of different ways you can breach the contract. The most common ones are if you're past your inspection deadline, or let's say you're past your loan deadline, and all of a sudden you can't get the loan. Well, then you would lose your earnest money. If you say you're going to buy the house as is and you don't do an inspection objection, then you decide, actually, just kidding, I don't want to deal with the broken sprinkler system, I'm going to back out. If you back out, at that point, you would lose your earnest money. So you would lose that $3,000. The seller would get to keep it. And the reason the seller gets to keep it is it's basically the only damages they can go after for you breaching the contract. In some states, in some areas, and if you put it specifically in our contract here, they can actually come after you and make you buy the house, or come after you for other damages, like if they have all these other costs that they may be able to say they incurred because you breached the contract, they can actually come after you for all those damages. Here in Colorado, the default setting in the contract is that liquidated damages which is the earnest money, is their only remedy if you breach the contract and back out. Which it keeps it real simple. If your earnest money is $3,500, if you as the buyer, or you're the seller, if I'm the buyer, and I just decide to walk away and not buy your house, and it's not a reason stated in the contract that I'm allowed to do, then you would get to keep my earnest money and put the house back on the market. So you can lose your earnest money if you breach your contract. So make sure you ask your agent, and he should be telling you this before you even have to ask. But if you don't have an agent that's told you that, ask them. Like, what are the ways you can lose it? How am I protected? That kind of thing.
Hey, does it help it if I put it down more?
If you put down more, it can. So the question is, if you put down more earnest money, can it help your offer? And yeah, it could. So like if you had two very similar offers, you're the seller again, right? You have two offers that are handed to you. One, they're giving you $10,000 in earnest money. It's the same price for the house, but one is putting down more up front than the other one. You might think, which one is more serious?
The one that laid down $10,000 instead of the less.
Yeah, but it's actually like, it's a kind of a fallacy. It's not real because there's so many backouts for the buyer that in all reality, it doesn't matter if you put down $3,000 or $10,000. If your agent is paying attention for you, then even if you put down $10,000, you should never lose your earnest money. So if you're working with us and we're in a multiple offer situation, our buyer's agent's gonna help you walk through this, figure this out, do everything they can to make your offer look good. One of those ways is to put down more earnest money. In reality, if your agent's doing their job, they're gonna be protecting you and they're gonna protect your earnest money. So that way you're not gonna lose it, whether it's $3,000 or $10,000, and it all goes towards your down payment anyway, or you get it back at closing if you don't have any down payment. So it does make the seller feel better, like you're more serious, but if you have an agent that's looking out for you, you're not gonna lose it either way, but it could help your offer. Does that answer the question? Okay, what else? Anything else?
Nope.
That's it? Okay, if you have any more questions at all about earnest money and what it's for, put it down in the comments below. I'm trying to think if we're missing anything. Do you have any questions about earnest money? No?
Let's see. No.
You sure?
Sure.
You know everything there is to know about earnest money?
No.
So I can't think of any other ones right now, but well, okay, here's something to think about. Here's another thing. Okay, so a lot of times when you're putting in an offer on a house, if there's multiple offers, it could really be in your benefit to pull some contingencies out. It makes your offer stronger, right? So if you offer $10,000 in earnest money on a $300,000 house, it's a lot of earnest money. A good listing agent's gonna say, yeah, well, it's nice that you put down $10,000, but it doesn't mean anything because you have this back out, this back out, this back out. You can still back out. So what does that even mean? Then your next thing could be like, well, we can take away this contingency. Like you could take away an inspection objection deadline, which I don't recommend you do unless you're a contractor and you walk the house yourself and you're confident in it. You could take away an appraisal objection deadline. That's only if you're very, very confident it's gonna appraise or you don't care. And the only reason you might not care is if you're planning on living there forever or 4 or 5 years and you don't care if you pay a little over its market value. You could pull that appraisal contingency. And you also have to have enough cash because if you're taking out a loan and the appraisal comes in low, you may have to come up with the difference. Like if you need to have 20%, but the appraisal comes in low, anything above that, you're gonna have to put a bigger down payment down to make up that appraisal gap. So that's something to think about if you take away the appraisal contingency. Don't really recommend taking away the inspection objection contingency, but maybe just shorten that deadline. So it's close. So it's maybe only a few days to do your inspection. That way they're not taking the house off the market forever if you're just gonna back out on inspection. But keep in mind, if you do pull contingencies, this is where I'm going with this, you stand more of a chance of losing your earnest money. So you need to be careful if you're putting down a lot of earnest money and taking away contingencies.
Okay.
Was that as clear as mud?
Yes.
All right. Remember, if you have any other questions at all, put them down below in the comments. If you have any other topics you'd like to hear discussed, you can put them down in the comments as well. You all have a great day.
Bye.